Most smartphone innovations die because they were bad. Pop up cameras didn't. And that's exactly why their story is so strange. Because for a brief moment, this tiny mechanical camera solved one of the biggest problems in modern smartphones almost perfectly. So then, what happened? To understand that, we need to go back to a time when phone makers were obsessed with one idea: getting rid of the notch. Around 2018, every company was chasing the same dream: a phone that was all screen, no cutouts, no distractions, just a clean, uninterrupted display. But there was a problem. You still needed a front camera. Apple solved it with the notch. Others tried punch holes, and then a few companies decided to get, well, creative. Instead of putting the camera on the screen, what if we just hid it? That's where pop up cameras come in. Phones like the OnePlus 7 Pro and Vivo V15 Pro introduced this wild idea. The front camera would stay hidden inside the phone until you need it. You open the camera app, and suddenly a motor whirs. It rises out of the top like a tiny periscope. It felt futuristic, it looked cool, and more importantly, it worked. No notch, no hole punch, just a perfect, uninterrupted display. For a lot of people, this was peak smartphone design. And honestly, it solved more than just aesthetics. Think about it. With a pop up camera, apps couldn't secretly access your front camera without you knowing. If the camera moved, you knew it was being used. In a weird way, it was also a privacy feature. So now you had something rare in tech. A solution that was functional, visually superior, and even better for privacy. Which raises the obvious question: if it was this good, why did it disappear so fast? Well, the answer starts with something simple: moving parts. The deal is, modern smartphones hate moving parts. Every time that little camera slides up and down, it's relying on a motor with gears and mechanical precision. And while companies claim that these would last hundreds or thousands of times, there's a reason your phone doesn't have hinges, sliders, or spinning parts anymore. Because eventually something fails. Dust gets in, water gets in, the mechanism wears out. And that brings us to the second problem: durability. Pop up cameras made phones more fragile. You couldn't properly seal the top of the phone anymore, which made strong water resistance harder to achieve. In an era where people expect their phones to survive rain, spills, and accidents, that's a big trade off. And manufacturers knew it. So even though pop up cameras looked futuristic, they quietly introduced more risk. But here's where things get interesting. Because even with those flaws, pop up cameras were still good enough. They didn't die because they were unusable, they died because something else got better: punch hole cameras. At first, punch holes felt like a compromise, a small black dot interrupting your screen. But over time, they improved. They got smaller, they got better placed, and less distracting. And more importantly, they didn't require any moving parts. No motors, no durability concerns, no added complexity. From a manufacturer's perspective, it was a dream: cheaper to produce, more reliable, easier to waterproof. So even though pop-up cameras were more perfect visually, punch holes were more practical. And in tech, practicality almost always wins. That's another factor most people don't think about: speed. Pop-up cameras added friction, even if it was just a second. That delay between opening your camera and taking a selfie mattered. Phones like iPhones have now totally almost reduced it. With a pop-up camera, it became tap, wait, shoot. It's small but noticeable, and when you combine that with durability concerns and manufacturing costs, the decision became obvious. But wait, there's one more twist. Just when pop up cameras were fading away, companies started working on something even more ambitious: under display cameras. If you don't want a notch and if you don't want a pop up, why not just hide the camera under the screen itself? No movement, no cutouts, no interruptions. On paper, it sounded like the perfect successor. In reality, it wasn't ready though. Early under-display cameras had poor image quality, weird haze effects, and inconsistent performance. So now manufacturers had two options: a bold but flawed idea or a simple, reliable one. They chose the simple one. And that's how pop-up cameras quietly disappeared. Not with a big announcement, not with a clear ending, just replaced. But here's the ironic part. Even today, a lot of people consider phones like the OnePlus 7 Pro to have one of the best displays ever made. With no distractions, no compromises, just a screen. Which makes you wonder, did we actually move forward, or did we just choose convenience over perfection? Because pop up cameras weren't a failure, they were a trade off. A glimpse of what smartphones would have been if the industry valued experience or efficiency. And maybe that's the real reason they disappeared. Not because they didn't work, but because they didn't fit the direction the industry wanted to go. Now, if you think this is interesting, there's another story where a phone did almost everything right and still got discontinued. Tap the video on your screen to see why Apple discontinued the iPhone mini. And if you enjoyed this, you already know what to do. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.